Welcome back to another episode of Angst, a podcast about anxiety, hosted by two people who have occasionally struggled with anxiety.
Yeah.
And are...
I know this isn't a competition, but I think my anxiety is worse than yours.
Okay, I'll let you win that one.
Okay. That's all. I've been wanting to say that.
Glad you interrupted me for that. Oh, Stephanie Davis is the one who has more anxiety.
Thank you.
And I'm Donnie Davis. You know us from this podcast, and you're probably friends with ours if you listen to the show.
Hey, we've got some people we don't know that listen to this.
But I'm talking about, if you're listening, we're becoming friends.
Oh, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a friend of the show.
We have so many friends of the show.
So many friends of the show. They say don't have too many friends, but I feel like in this case...
We just talked about it on the last episode, actually. Keep that circle small. And
Except when it comes to this.
But we want a big podcast circle.
Yeah.
Podcast friends.
Y'all are valuable. You know what I mean? We're all valuable to each other.
Exactly.
I think we need to address this week's episode, or by the time this airs, last week's episode and the week prior was a two-parter, and I was in a very bad mood for those podcasts.
I hadn't noticed.
Well, I was, because I had to wash my hair because we were doing video.
Go ahead.
And if you guys didn't notice, there was no video.
I did. Now that you're bringing this up, I did notice that.
Yeah.
Why is that?
It wasn't my fault.
Oh.
So anyway, it was a rough day in that house when we realized we weren't going to be able to use the video because someone
And it was already
was wearing shorts with their legs wide open on the shot. So we refrained from either blessing you or scarring you from that footage.
Yes. Some people would have loved it, I'm sure. Other people, not so much.
We came back from it, though.
Again, apologies for my part that I played in that.
Messed up my whole hair situation for 3 days.
Excuse me. Yep. Do you want to keep talking about that? Or
I just needed to address it with the rest of our family listening here today.
Friends,
yeah. Families can
that's
kind of be
weird.
toxic.
You're not my family.
Yeah, we're not family.
This week, we don't have any new topics, but we wanted to kind of just recap what we've talked about it's been a little over 3 months now that we've been doing this. So we just kind of wanted to recap. Maybe our perspectives have changed. Maybe they've just evolved. Maybe we've read some new things or taken in some new things that we want to share. So it's kind of just like an open floor between the two of us. You guys can't contribute really, but we're just going to kind of hammer out where we've been and talk about fresh ideas or same ideas in fresh ways.
Okay.
Why are you grinning like that?
Just the laptop stand. Like, of course you have a laptop stand. Most people would just put their laptop on the table, but this guy, you're always doing extra when it comes to your electronics. When he worked at an office doing well planning, I came up there one day.
Real quick, actually, I want you to finish that, but I'm always doing extra. What did you say before that? Most people can do whatever they want. I'm Donnie friggin' Davis.
Anyway, it was before the whole new ick unlocked. That day, I had a very large ick unlocked.
Go ahead, tell him.
Walk into his office. Oh gosh, that microphone hit my chin. And this guy's sitting there, 2 wide monitors, one turned tall ways.
For viewing PDFs and emails, go ahead.
And he's laid back like this. Like he's doing some type of international space station stuff.
So some people want to be optimized and some people just want to look cool. And I'm one of the guys I'm just about performance.
You
know
were
what I mean?
doing stand-up desk before people were doing stand-up desks.
100%.
It's just always something. And now we got this here. I've got one at my desk because I need it to line up with my monitor.
A lot of the stuff that you give me a hard time about 3 years later, you decide that you want to try it too. And you weren't going to bring that up, but we can. Or not.
Bring it up.
It's up to you. I just brought it up. I mean,
Like what?
stand-up desk. First of all,
When is the last time you saw me stand at my stand-up desk?
did you get a stand-up desk or not?
Yeah, I mean, I had the option, so I did it. Why not? Okay.
I don't know. I don't keep score. Keeping score is not my love language, but we can move on from that if you want.
Anyway, it was a heavy ick. So if you're one of those dudes with like, man, I got this sick ass monitor set up, I don't think we like it.
And we're not doing it for you. The same guy as the guys that are holding up the fish in their Tinder profiles, they don't care what you think about it either. They're going for the chicks that don't care about what they do with their free time. Kings and queens, if you want to hold a fish or stand up at your desk, you should do it.
I'm talking about the monitors at this point.
I'm trying to think of some other things that you've copied me on after a while, after making fun of me.
Not
Well,
the
LinkedIn,
monitor.
first of all, using LinkedIn.
It doesn't, I
Came
didn't
around.
copy you. You literally gave me the advice to get on LinkedIn. So I did. I didn't copy you. You told me to do it. And now look at us.
Look at us.
So I don't, if you view that as copying,
Just came around to it.
okay, well, maybe I copied you on it and I'm doing better than you on it.
You came around to it.
I did come around to it. I didn't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that. But for the record, I didn't copy you.
Yeah. Maybe came around
You
to it.
just are giving it to your microphone. You're so close. Is it breathy?
I hope not. It doesn't seem
Can't
breathy.
not be breathy because you're like this. So anyway,
That's how I like it to be.
that's so close. I'm being harsh on you this
She
morning.
came in here saying that she was harsh last time, and she's really ratcheting it up.
Well, you look handsome. I love your shirt.
Thanks.
It feels as soft as it looks. You look great in green.
I don't wear green that often.
And look, the setup, I get it. I just feel like the stand is just one. What would it be like if you didn't have the stand?
Shorter. Farther away.
Okay. I dig it.
It wouldn't have given you something to talk about.
I just like talking about you, that's all.
I know, you do. So if you're still listening,
Oh, yeah.
thanks for tuning in.
Whoopsies. I might still be grumpy. Do you think?
It would be a surprise to me if you were grumpy because you've been really sweet today, but you do seem to have been since we came in here all of a sudden.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I guess my true colors come out when you turn the camera on.
We started watching the David Beckham, or I guess the Beckhams documentary.
Yeah, I never really ever thought anything about them. Not one way or the other. I didn't have an opinion on them.
Uh-huh.
No.
I've kind of, like, for the past at least 7 or 8 years, been very aware of him.
Oh, yeah, you're the first one on the scene with something, right?
And
This is like,
No, I'm just going to say, I just think he's just cool.
yeah, he is. Like, he is cool.
And I want to look like him whenever I'm as old as he
Just
is.
messed up my polish.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, like he's cool.
And I don't want to draw any comparisons between us and the Beckhams, because that wouldn't be fair to them,
No,
really.
yeah, they're friends of the show. We
but
don't
yeah.
want to make them feel bad.
Yeah. They're just like a slightly less attractive, slightly less charismatic version of the two of us, which I think, friends of the show, thank you guys for listening yet again.
Yeah, your support means the world.
They just really, really love each other based off of that documentary. And
Yeah,
like,
they do.
in a way that you don't hear a lot of people talk about, and it made me think about how we were whenever we first got together, and it's been nice to watch so far.
Yeah, like they genuinely like each other, and nothing else matters.
Even when it's not convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you going to say something else before I went out?
No.
Okay.
I think I might have fallen asleep during some of it last night, though. I saw you kept looking over to make sure I was awake.
Well, you wouldn't react to stuff that I was expecting you to react to, so I knew
Well,
you
I think subconsciously I knew I was needing to react, so I would open my eyes and see you looking, and then you look away, and I'd close them again.
Yeah. All right. So in terms of new information,
Yeah.
I don't know if I really want to just go down list for list, but you're reading this book that you seem to be very moved and inspired by. So just kind of give us, you're not even through with the book, but just say what it is and why it's so good.
Okay, it's called Anxiety RX, and I found it myself, believe it or not. Usually
I believe it.
every book I've read in the past few years has been a recommendation. This one I just found. I can't even tell you this guy's name yet. Sorry. I did follow him on Instagram. I should have brought the book up here, but it talks about, so he is an actual doctor, but not like a psychologist or psychiatrist or whatever. I don't know the difference. I probably should. I think a psychiatrist is,
He's like a body
can
doctor.
prescribe you. Yeah, he's like a general doctor. Anyway, he's had anxiety his whole life, and he thought becoming a doctor would help cure that. Actually made it worse. I'm not surprised by that. I can't even imagine. But he's gone on this journey of trying to fix his anxiety. He's tried everything, medication, all of that. But what he has realized is that anxiety in your mind and anxiety in your body, your feelings and thoughts, two very separate. So your alarm in your body, your feelings go off first, usually, right? Okay. You start feeling. And then your mind is like, oh boy, we need to be worrying about something, right? We're having that feeling. This all goes together, right? We're not addicted to, but we think that our mind, if we focus on like what we're anxious about or try to talk ourselves through it or the worries or the what ifs, it silences that alarm.
Okay.
Doesn't.
Right.
So what he recommends doing first is getting a hold of your feelings, because it's much easier to address the feelings, bring yourself to the present, right? Put your hand on your chest, focus on your breathing, focus on I'm touching this table, focus on the right now. And once you can get that alarm turned off, the alarm feeling in your body,
yeah,
it's easier to get your brain on board.
So it sounds to me like there's almost two different sensors for stress,
yes,
or anxiety, and also two different places that it can be, or only one place that it can be stored. Oh, no, because you can remember things too.
Well, yeah. So the way he explains it is for the majority of people, your anxiety begins out of trauma from your childhood. And children's minds don't know what to do with traumatic information. We've all been through trauma, right?
Yeah, we don't have... Yeah, just remind the people what trauma can be.
Trauma can be anything, right? Something from as minor as what?
Not getting attention that you need.
Yeah, not getting attention that you need, not having your feelings validated, things like that. And then also like you've got big trauma, sexual abuse, physical abuse, so many things, right? It varies. Anyways, as children, you don't know what to do. Your mind doesn't know what to do. It just knows it doesn't like that, right? Mm-hmm. So it stores it as a feeling in the body. So when you start to have that feeling in your body of like an alarm going off, your mind is like, okay, here's what we did when that happened before, and this is what we've always done. And it doesn't work. Right. You have to get your feelings, your physical feelings under control first, and that's much easier to do. So thinking about them as two separate things for me is actually very helpful, because I thought my mind got it going, but it doesn't. That's not always the case. I think sometimes my mind gets there first. Right. But either way, you need to get your feelings under control.
So that's the order it should be addressed, as your feelings. Your body feelings.
Your body feelings first, and then your thoughts second.
Okay. I mean, that kind of lends itself to episode 3 with Suzette.
Yes.
Which is kind of, it doesn't have to be somatic breath work, but it sounds to me like calming yourself, being more aware of how you're feeling and what you're feeling is almost more important than like traditional, not more important, prioritized maybe time-wise to like talk therapy or something like that.
Yeah. So I wish you were reading this book with me. And I think I've already said that 100 times in the last couple weeks. But that's kind of what he says, is like, he's not anti-talk therapy because it's beneficial for a lot of things. But if you are relying solely on talk therapy, and what talk therapy is going to a therapist and talking about your anxieties, that's not going to fix it. Just talking about it is not going to fix it. You've got to access that feelings part where it is stored from your childhood, where your body first decided, well, don't know what to do with this, so we're just going to shove it into here, right? You're going to think you're going to throw up all the time. That's what we're going to do with that anxiety, right? We're going to put it in all these places, and then it just wreaks havoc on your body as you grow up. So I've heard. Speaking from experience.
It's kind of crazy to think about.
I feel like I just went off on that.
Well, it's wild to think about. First of all, we talked about on the consumption episode about how your brain, like your gut has more awareness than we ever really think about.
Yeah, your guts
taught.
are going nuts.
But if you think about your body can store anxiety
Yeah.
and stress, that kind of changes the whole way that you're like, we grew up thinking about ourselves.
Yeah. It's all in your head. It's all in your head. No, it's actually in my body.
Yeah, I've got some of it in my toe.
Yeah.
I'm holding on to.
My lower back, mine, 100% in my tummy, but also I think it hangs on right back here.
There is a lot of like Eastern medicine that does attribute that, like when your lower back hurt, like things, I don't know them, so I'm not going to quote them, but like if your shoulders hurt, that means you're like carrying a burden of something. You know, there's like like all these things are tied to aspects of your body. And it seems like the more you kind of dig into it, the more it seems less like woo-woo stuff. And it's very real.
Yeah, honestly, like I was talking to somebody the other day who was sharing some things with me, right? And I was the whole time like fighting information dumping and trying to just listen. But eventually I was like, look, I think that, I don't know if you've heard of somatic breath work or not. And they're like, no. And I thought, oh gosh, I'm about to sound like a nut job.
Right. With no reference for it, it's tough to.
I know. And I feel like, I tried to explain it and I think she just kind of dismissed it, which I don't blame her because if it sounds super weird, but when you think about, and this was before I really got to that section of the book, it's just like, if you think about these as two very separate things, right? Oh, I've dealt with it. I've come to peace with it. No, you haven't. Because if you're still like, you can be triggered almost immediately, like happens to me today. School was a very anxious place for me. It made me feel all my alarms would go off at school almost every single day. Very anxious, stressful place for me for as long as I can remember.
But you don't remember why.
I don't remember why. Yeah, it just was. We go to our daughter's school today and I'm just like starting to like, my body was like, you don't like this, something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then my mind got in and was like, oh, this is probably why you don't like it. And then just went off. And we got in the car and I said to you, I was like, I think just being inside of a school takes me back and like makes me very anxious.
Yeah.
I felt it in my body first. I didn't put anything into practice, but I realized I felt it there first.
Yeah.
Before my mind even went nuts.
Yeah. I felt it from you halfway into the trip.
Really? Mm-hmm. Like how?
I don't know how to explain it.
Where does it start with you?
From you?
Mm-hmm. Where do you start feeling my
It's like
energy?
a sixth sense feeling. Like I start to, my awareness and stuff goes up, and then I'm like, I like look around. I'm like, okay, there's no sudden danger. It must be coming off of you.
Does it make you feel anxious when I do that?
No, it just makes me feel like aware if there's any action to be taken that I want to take it or anything. Like if I need to just kind of like reassure you in some way. Or
don't do that.
No, yeah.
What you just did then, don't do that. Just poked my hip.
Touch your hip.
Don't ever do that. No, you did it again.
So yeah, to answer your question,
Look,
yeah, there was no action to be taken.
All this to say, I felt it in my body first, and then your mind makes up a story, right? Your mind makes up a story on why, and here's what you should do. It feeds you just this based off of the alarm in your body, right?
Right.
It's like, oh, this is my fight or flight alarm. Okay, well, now we got to figure out why we feel that way.
Right.
And so it's like, hey, mind, you're doing too much. You know what I mean? Mind your business. This is a body experience.
You're right.
Keep your head out of it.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I left my phone downstairs. Oh, no, I didn't. We're using it to record. I wanted to play a video that I saw that was perfectly aligned with this that I saved this morning. It was basically saying that every feeling in your body is communicating something to you.
Okay.
and it was saying that they are real, regardless of what you've been told.
Yes. Yeah.
And so further, it was actually kind of a long-winded video, but it was around those 2 points that everything you feel is some aspect of your body or your subconscious or something trying to raise awareness about something.
Yeah, and then your mind just tries to fit in.
And it's your job to figure out what it is and fix whatever the signal is. So his main point was like, ignore basically everything that you've been taught about, like, it's just, basically we are taught, or at least some people are taught, to ignore those signals, to ignore all of that stuff. You could even go all the way back to something as simple as like, oh, that food makes my stomach hurt. Well, it's not that bad, so I'll just keep eating that. You know what I mean? Like, that's the super boiled down easy version of it.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to the consumption thing. Like, if you get a gut feeling when you're around, if you just generally don't feel good when you're around somebody, you should stop being around that person.
Yeah, just stop being
because your
around that
body,
person.
something inside of you is telling you this is not the right place for me.
Yeah.
So that's that. And if I find it, and I will cut it in here because it was pretty good.
Okay, great. I hope to see it.
Yeah, or hear it.
Yeah, anyway, this is a really great book. Anxiety RX. I really should know the author. Guys, I'm like 50 pages in, so I don't know him that well yet. Actually, I'm on page like 95. I know that because I read 10 pages at a time.
Okay.
So really should know this guy's name. But I don't. Anxiety RX, look it up on Amazon.
So it has nothing to do with mental health, but that's something I do too, where I'd like certain people, it's like, oh yeah, I really got a lot out of this book by this author, and it was page 16, and I remember it was December 17th when I read it, but I'm just like, I usually just kind of absorb things from books.
Yeah.
I very rarely can quote it. I very rarely can like reference it.
Yeah, I'm always impressed by people like that because like as I'm reading the book and I'm like, oh my gosh, let me tell you about what I just read, and I literally cannot explain it to you. I'm like, is this early onset of something? Like, how are people? No. But here's what I think we should start doing. Like books like this, I want to write down a summary of the 10 pages after I read them. I'm going to start doing
a summary or just like what stood out to you or what?
Yeah, like the pieces I took from it. Yeah, write them down. That's smart. And then put them into action, right?
Yeah, that's really smart.
And then just go at the end of the book, you've got, do I want to write it or do I want to type it?
Or dictate it. Oh. Stephanie's log.
Oh, whoa. I like that actually.
Page 22 to 32.
Do the date and the time.
Yeah. Right. To tell you what the author is. So you like commit it to memory.
Yeah, I'll do the author every day. I'm really going to do this. But I want an old school recorder.
Like a pen recorder?
Not a pen. Not a spy recorder. Honestly, I want a handheld. I know I could just do it on my phone.
Yeah, but I
just feel like it's like...
You and those electronics.
You know you love the thought.
For the video audience.
You know you love the thought of me clicking a tape recorder.
Oh, I'm into it. I want to hear the click.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to
Is it a click? It has to be a click.
I want it to be a click. I want it to be the little tapes, too. I don't want an SD card.
Amazon bots that are listening to her conversation, pop that into her feed.
Oh, you know that's going to happen. I actually don't want the tapes. Oh, what a pain that would be.
It wouldn't have anything to do with tapes. You'd have to buy a whole other thing for... Do you mean like a...
This never stops.
Cassette?
A little tiny cassette. My dad had one.
You have to digitize the tapes.
I never said I'd listen back to it. I just said it'd be nice.
Got it.
I'm committed to doing this.
Okay. That's one thing about Stephanie Davis. When she commits. Yep.
I commit.
Much like Posh Spice.
Yep.
What's her name?
I got no clue. Victoria. Yeah, I don't know much about her. I did love the Spice Girls.
Yeah.
A lot. That's neither here nor there. I mean, I liked their music. Couldn't even remember what their faces looked like.
I like you're defending yourself here.
I was saying something that sounded way more like...
Nick, you were a big fan of theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just Spice Up Your... What is that?
Spice World was the movie,
Spice World was the movie. There was this song, Two Become One, which was so weird, but I know all the words to it. And like 8th grade Stephanie couldn't have told you what they were singing about.
Are they the ones that say like, if you want to be my lover, you gotta...
Yeah, that's a different one. That's just... It's called Wannabe.
Wannabe.
You got to get with my friends. Like if you want... Oh gosh. But I think what it means is like, if you want to be in my life, you got to be cool with my friends.
Right. You got to
But
pass
honestly,
pass the friend
it should be
test.
the other way around.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, I don't know how we got there.
I think it was my fault.
Yeah.
So what about in terms of...
I want to talk about that episode where we questioned our anxiety. I am full-fledged anxious mode the last month. So I don't actually question my anxiety. The more I'm learning about anxiety, the more I know I have anxiety. It's not something you just, I have anxiety once every 3 months. Well, that means you have anxiety.
Okay.
You're an anxious person.
Do you think that it is a case that everybody has it in varying degrees, or do you think some people have it and some people don't?
I think some people have it and some people don't.
So you think like everybody deals with stress,
Yeah.
but
stress
not
is
everybody
life.
has anxiety.
Yeah. I think everybody is stressed. It's 2023. If you're not stressed, wait for it. But not everybody turns it into anxiety. That's after stress turns into anxiety.
Got it.
Also in this, so I would just kind of, sometimes I want to go back to that episode where we're like, oh gosh, we don't have anxiety. Yeah, you do, Steph.
Yeah.
You do.
Right. Definitely do.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean it has to be crippling or that you've got to be on medication. You're just aware of it.
It's not a label.
It's not a label. It's like nothing wrong with you. Like, just find the tools that you need in your toolbox to help you with it. Some people that's medication. Some people that's talk therapy, which add something else into that, by the way. It's not just talk therapy. Some people it's the no talk therapy, like somatic breath work or whatever. Yeah. This book I'm reading, the guy did LSD. He said, I did it, so y'all don't have to. He goes, I will never do it again. It was the scariest treatment of his life. But that's in that episode where he's doing the LSD, he realizes the two are very separate. The mind.
Oh, that's where he had the realization.
Yeah. I feel like that's probably an easier way he could have come about that. But I appreciate him doing that for all of us.
Yeah, I can't remember if we've talked about it on the show or not. I'm historically open to, we'll call them plant medicines.
Mm-hmm. Not me.
But since I have done a couple of breathwork sessions, I'm actually like, I'm not closed off to it, but I'm like, I don't think it's super. I think I can get what I need to get without plants.
Yeah.
Or any other kind of. I'm still open to trying them, but I'm less motivated because I think the breathwork is amazing.
Well, let's get specific with what you're speaking about, like ayahuasca.
There's a couple of them. They've got frog medicines too.
Oh, that one where you're just like vomiting vehemently. Oh gosh, no thanks.
Right.
But good for you.
Right.
If that's something you want to do.
If my body needed to purge something, I'm totally fine with doing that under the.
I will carry it till the day I die. If someone said to me, I
want to hear the real.
I'm about to tell you the real.
If you were carrying anxiety that you have stored since you were a child,
I know I am,
and you could just one night evacuate that.
No.
What did I say on that? Unload it. If you could just unload it.
No.
Really?
No.
You would just keep carrying it for one time.
Yes.
That's wild to me. That's a real
Yes, I would be so scared. As I would feel like it's a fear I cannot manage. Here's what's funny about your mind and your body.
swallowed.
Sorry. That's a fear I feel like I cannot manage. But because I've been doing anxiety and worry for 30 none of your business years, I'm like, I know how to do that.
You're like the devil, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
I know how to do that.
Serious question.
Yeah.
If you could have that experience.
The vom one?
And throw up one time. One big vom. Oh, no. Just listen. But you would never be afraid of throwing up ever again. Would it be worth it?
I'd have to know beyond a shadow of a doubt.
I'm saying. And it's a pretend scenario where you're guaranteed that this one big...
How big's the throw up?
as much as you can muster.
It's not much. Oh,
Physically.
I mean, obviously, yeah.
That's
But I feel
interesting.
scared thinking about it right now.
Okay. We don't have to keep talking about that. That's not what this show's about. But that's interesting to me.
I mean, maybe I'm just that strong.
Yeah, you are. I saw a shirt the other day that was a picture of a penguin holding a knife, and it said fight or flight, but the flight was crossed out and it just said fight or fight, and it made me think of you.
because penguins can't fly.
I didn't even think about that extra twist.
Did you get me that shirt?
It was out of your size.
Oh, darn
Yeah.
it. That was
I gotta
nice that
say
it
it,
made
though.
you think of me, though.
Yeah.
You're sweet.
Yeah,
I would wear that shirt.
it was pretty good. I mean, basically made for you.
I
didn't even think about
two
the fact that you
tigers
can't
on
fly.
my sweatshirt right now. Of course I wear a shirt of a penguin holding 2 knives. Is it holding 2 knives?
Just one knife, I
Oh.
think. Yeah.
Fight or fight.
It's funny you went on to that because I wanted to talk about the stress versus anxiety again. I wanted to retouch on that.
Yeah.
You guys historically did not enjoy the intrusive thought micro
Yeah,
episodes.
statistically, you guys weren't intrusive thoughts fans, according to the downloads. So you know what? Forget we even mentioned it.
Yep. We got to shout out Mark Freeman.
Of
because
course, great dude.
he
His episode's performing
crushed
very well.
He crushed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing that I've been wanting to bring up, which is just really fascinating to me, is that we've talked multiple times about having systems and structure and putting measures in your life to mitigate feelings of stress and anxiety. And we've both been on those when we talked about it. And then we've both crashed hard off of them, both independently over the past month or so.
We've been through a lot since we started this podcast, my dude.
Yeah. But it's just really crazy to know that you know exactly what you need to do and even tell people what they should do. And on a public platform, act like you know what you should do and then still not do what you know you should do.
It's not like we're acting like we know what to do. We know what to do.
Right.
It's just very hard, and we empathize with people that also find it very difficult. It's just part of human nature.
It is.
It is very difficult to pull yourself out of it. And hopefully throughout this process of the podcast and everything that we're learning, we can be better about recognizing it. And before we fall in, being able to step around.
Yeah, well said.
It's a journey, man. I mean, that's what we've been saying. This is a journey that so many people are on. And it's not just here with a couple of bumps. Like, it goes like this, right?
Yeah, it really
And
does.
so we just got to keep this from going too low. It's okay. We're all human. We're going to struggle.
Yeah, fail.
Yeah, struggle, fail, not treat yourself the way that you should. But we are all just getting better at trying to identify that so it doesn't get as bad as it could be or has been. It's kind of breaking those patterns.
Yeah, I will say those cycles seem to get shorter and shorter.
Yeah.
And then also, I think we've never had trouble really communicating between the two of us. Mm-hmm. But I think since just starting the podcast, I think we've gotten better at checking in on each other and kind of like being able to be like, man, I think I need to, whatever, instill some kind of structure because I'm starting to feel like I'm going in and out.
Right.
Whereas, so that we're kind of able to do that together.
Yeah, it does make it a lot easier. I couldn't
Shortens the
imagine.
cycle.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine feeling embarrassed to share with you how I'm struggling.
Right.
I think that would just be, and I know there's people that go through that. That's a whole other layer of probably making something that already feels impossible to feel extra impossible and extra shameful. And it's none of those things.
Right.
So thank you for making that easier on me.
Yeah, right back at you.
Yeah. I have noticed that it's been a very stressful month for us. We moved, a new job, just a lot of other things happening. And I have been tapping my leg a lot and just right? I go, and then I just crash and I have to lie on the couch. You know what? I've I've been noticing that myself.
Yeah, right.
But I've also been noticing that you always just stop and like hug me throughout the day, but you have been like placing your hand, not just like hugging, but placing your hands on my back and holding me tight.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah, you hate it.
I get what he's doing. He's trying to regulate me.
Yeah.
So for as long as I can, I let you do. We haven't talked about it at all. But you have been doing that, and I appreciate it, but it's hard for me to accept it, even though it shouldn't be.
Yeah, what's funny about those things is I'm not usually even thinking about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I feel you. I'll like be holding you for a minute, and then I'll feel you like sort of half pull away, but not commit to pulling away, and then I'll realize what I was doing.
Yeah.
Because I've just like taken a deep breath.
Yeah, you're like, and I'm like, this is so degrading. Like,
Is it?
It's not though.
Yeah. Because
It's very
if that's
kind.
degrading. Then
It's just my ego. That's all.
Yeah.
It's not actually degrading. It's just my ego being like, this guy thinks he can. Oh, it works. That's all. That's the thought process.
it's funny.
Yeah.
I probably would actually have the same. Like, yeah. There's times where you try to do things to help me regulate, and at first it frustrates me too. So I think neither of us likes to be helped unless we ask for help until we give in and accept it.
Right.
For sure. I don't have anything else at the top of my mind.
Yes.
Until next time.
Yeah, until next time. Your girl here is going through it. A lot of anxiety running around in my head, but I'm walking. I'm eating well, minus that ice cream, and working out. I'm on the up, guys. So if you're feeling the same way I am, keep it moving. Feel it here. Shut it down here first. Then tackle this guy. I'm pointing to my brain.
Boom.
I was pointing to my body, then I'm pointing to my brain. We are all in this together.
We are.
Yep.
And I think it's really funny. You do this on the phone too.
What?
But you always wait until basically the first round of signing off or goodbye has happened, and then you have another thought that you like to add to it. You do that on the phone too. You'd be like, okay, bye. And then, by the way, I
just want to leave you with this.
So that's that. If you haven't picked up on that, go back and listen. It happens almost every time, and I love it.
I love it too.
All right. Thank you guys for listening.
Drink your water, go on a walk. I'm doing that today. Will you do it with me?
Boom.